What's up, everybody? Hello and welcome to episode number 274 of the VK Bros with Jason Von Kellner and John Lovitz. How are you going this week, John?
We're not going to go into that joke. We'll just roll on.
That is a personal joke that happened just before the show started, and
and you'll be reaping the benefits.
How are you going this week, dude?
I'm good. I have had a pretty busy week. Some of those meetings that I said I was going to have been cancelled twice in a row, which sucked, but I had some other fresh ones. Got some other stuff on the go. Bought a bunch of cars yesterday, which is nice. Progressing very quickly on the technology side, which is nice. Training hard, lifting heavy. We're getting close to like testing time at the gym, which is making me very excited. Interestingly enough, last week put 130 on the bench press and really struggled. Today put 130 on it and thought it was only 120.
Interesting.
Which is good.
That's a very large strength boost in such a short period of time.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, funny that. And yeah, it's good. It's good.
Must have just had really good rest the night before.
The rest's been very good. My supplement regime's been good. Maybe a little bit of an upgrade. Yeah, it's good.
Hashtag trust the science. This week, ladies and gents, we are going to mainly talk about stories close to home in the beautiful Sanity state of Queensland, Australia. We have covered many times on the show in previous months about how Queensland is really leading the charge back to sanity. A lot of things have been passed through Queensland Parliament over the last few months. Some of these things have been challenged in court, and which is one of the stories we'll cover today. But I've just got to say, just from the outset, I want to say this. It is imperative, so any Queenslanders listening to this show, it is imperative that we allow the Crisafulli government time to achieve the things that they are trying to achieve. Because just a brief snapshot before we get into the main stories about the things that they have done they've been in power for 1 year now. They've been 1 year in power. And in that 1 year, they have removed the renewable energy targets, which means we are going to be getting back towards producing our own coal-fired power. They've approved licenses for 6 different gas exploration contracts. So we are revamping the energy production and the manufacturing sector in the state. Obviously, they are pushing back on a lot of the globalist woke agenda things. We covered on the show last week about how the Queensland government redefined what a woman actually is. Did we cover that on the show?
Yeah.
Okay, we did. So a woman is an adult human female. Yeah, weird, hey? What? And when I say redefined, just what you guys need to keep in mind, the definition of it in Queensland law was only changed in 2023 to include everyone else who identifies as a woman. So again, back towards sanity. I want to start the show by talking about the law.
No, we're not starting the show there.
Oh, sorry, no. Yeah, we will. I'll get to it. Alex has something he wants to start on briefly, and then we'll go from there.
I made some mentions on the show about, speaking of overarching legislation, what Australian design regulations are doing to cars. And I'm in a different car every week. And I tend to...
Car slut, so to speak.
Yeah. If I have my choice of a car, I usually try and jump in something a little bit older so that it doesn't have the systems in it, because I really don't like them. But we had a very successful auction day. So basically, the only thing that had rego and was close to the door that was left was a really late model Subaru Forester. Now, when I say late model, it's a 2022, but it's got the latest tech in it. And dude, I'm shocked at how bad this is. I'm shocked. So not only from a design inside user interface experience, you have, but I'm just talking safety features now, right? You have buttons down here for safety features, down next to the gear lever. You have buttons on the radio fascia for safety features. You have buttons by your right knee on the kick panel there for safety features. And you now have buttons next to the sunroof controls.
Wow.
For safety features. So even that's madness.
Yeah.
Madness. But what I particularly didn't like about Subaru's implementation of this is how they've marketed a feature that I don't think you should market at all.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is the most dystopian one. I took a video of it. Anyone who follows me on Instagram has already seen this. You can go follow me, by the way, Alex on Channel on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
This is just a short video of when you get into one of these cars for the first time.
Mm-hmm. There's no audio coming through, just FYI.
Okay, so it just says driver monitoring system. It's got the eye from the front of George Orwell's 1984 book, and a target around a crosshair around an eye, and it's got scan in progress. Now I say in the video, look at the sensor. You can't see it in this, but there's actually an infrared light in this little section here that's on when the system is working. Now I also don't know what is the effect of shining infrared in our face. Like I don't know. I don't think we've done any studies on that. But I'm not sure it's healthy.
It's actually probably good for you because it'd be like an infrared sauna.
Yeah, but only on one part of the body instead of your whole body?
Yeah, so you might, like, you know how when people have like a good side and a bad side when it comes to taking photos? You might have a really youthful, like, left side of your face and a really weathered one because the other side's getting all the sunlight through the window.
Right? So here it is. It's got driver monitoring system. It's scanning. And then the button to turn it off is the same eye with the target around it.
Yeah.
And what I didn't depict in this video was there's another eyesight system which has got another eye with another crosshair on it, which I think is referring to the forward vision. Now what that system does is looks at your face all the time to make sure you're looking at the road.
Yeah.
Now I was in the gym this morning because one of the girls at the gym, she's just bought a brand new Kia EV. And I said, oh, how did you find the safety system? She goes, I hate them. And I talked about the face scanning thing. She goes, yeah, and I wear sunglasses, and as soon as you've got sunglasses on, it doesn't work. So it just constantly beeps at you.
Yep.
To look. Like, look at the... And this car will beep at you when you change... So it's got, like, lane keep assist. So it recognises the lanes. Okay, fine. You indicate, it'll give you a beep to say that it no longer recognises the line, and then it'll give you another beep that it can recognise the line again. So every time you change lanes, 2 beeps. It's got adaptive cruise control, which is a feature I really, really like. I mean, old Mercedes-Benz 2007 S-Classes had it. Perfect integration.
That's a great tool. I like that feature. Yeah.
But not when it accelerates too hard and brakes too hard.
Yeah.
And it also, like, here's the thing, these features don't... I don't like them because they are worse than me.
Yeah, agreed.
So these safety features perform worse than what I do as a driver, and they're supposed to... And these are now mandated by the governments to have it. Now, I understand not everyone's as good as a driver as me, okay? But things like an automatic braking system, if the implementation that most companies are using is just having like a LiDAR sensor at the front, which detects the difference in gap between you and the person in front. Whereas the human brain doesn't do that first. The human brain actually looks at the car in front of that car, if you're a good driver, right? And so you can see 2, 3, 4, 5 cars ahead, you're already planning for the stop. These systems can't do that. These systems also can't read what a brake light is. So when the car in front, if you test this yourself, you jump in your car, the first half a centimetre of the brake travel doesn't put the brakes on, just puts the lights on. And the reason why it does that is to forewarn you for the slowing down of the car. So the person who's applied the brakes in front of you is already a second ahead of what the car behind you with your sensors is going to register.
Yep.
And that's why you have to brake so heavily, because you're behind the 8 ball to begin with.
Yep.
And where I felt more justified in how much I was bagging these systems is when I was talking to a normie today. She doesn't like driving. She doesn't necessarily enjoy it. She's got out of a 10-year-old Prado that didn't have any of these systems.
Yep.
And she hates these things. Hates them. And her justification for it, she goes, yeah, but then I know that every new car's got it, so I guess that's just how it is.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no. Let's kick up a fucking stink about this.
Doesn't have to be like that.
Yeah. So when I posted that video yesterday on my Instagram, my Canadian friend, he hit me up. He goes, we don't have that. Like, we don't have those systems.
Really? In Canada?
So there's other developed countries that aren't doing this. And
who
I
are
said
also
to her,
a heavily safety-conscious society, too. Yeah.
I said to the girl at the gym, car manufacturers don't want to make this shit.
Yeah, it's
They've
expensive.
been told they have to. Mitsubishi's going to lose half its model lineup next year because they're not going to meet ADR compliance.
Yeah, right. Wow.
And the stuff is garbage.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not only garbage, it's more dangerous.
Yeah.
And she said it too. She's had many a time where the emergency city stop function has kicked in when the sun hit the sensor and has stopped her in the middle of the road.
Wow.
She's also had situations where the automatic speed limit camera reads the sign that's on another road.
Yeah,
next
that's
to
right,
you.
from like an off-ramp or something like that on the highway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I've
if you're
had
on cruise
happen
control,
before. Yeah.
if you're on cruise control, it slows down.
Yeah, I know.
So we've got these nanny state systems that drive like old nannies.
It's funny that you say nanny state. I was literally just thinking, do you know what these systems remind me of? Have you ever driven in a car with a middle-aged or slightly older female and they freak out about everything? Like a car entering the motorway 80 meters in front of you and they're like, slow down, right? That's like what these systems are, except it's as if you're driving a learner driving training vehicle where they get pedals in front of them as well.
Yeah.
And they can just slam on the brakes and freak out at everything.
It's crazy. This is
bad.
dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
This is also, I wonder what it's doing to kids that are learning to drive in these things.
Yeah.
The constant tugging on the steering wheel when you're trying to drive it just makes no sense. We're ruining driving. We're ruining it.
But it's for your safety,
Anyway,
Alex.
That's my rant.
Yeah. Personal story. The last job that I had in the motor industry before I left it was the manager of a Subaru dealership in Brisbane. And I had to drive those cars all the time with all of those safety features in them. And I absolutely hated them. And the problem was, I think with Subaru in particular, they realized that they were trying to find a niche in the market. Like we have a very, very competitive car market in Australia. You've got a whole bunch of different manufacturers, like 60-something different manufacturers.
There's more brands represented here in Australia than there is in America.
Yeah. So
we've got 28 million people. They've got 340 million people.
Yeah. So you have to find a niche. And the niche that Subaru chose was they basically said, we are going to market ourselves as being the safest car that you can buy.
Yeah.
So like when they started bringing in all these new ADR restrictions, Subaru just went straight to, we need to make sure that every single one of our cars not only has a 5-star now, but will have a 5-star in 5 years' time when these things keep getting more and more restrictive. But as we talk about in every other element of society, safety and freedom are on a spectrum, and they're at opposite ends of it.
Yeah.
And the closer you get to safety, the less freedom you have.
But this case is even worse because the perceived safetiness of it is making it more dangerous.
Well, dude,
so you're losing freedom,
of course,
and becoming less safe.
Which is what happens with everything else too.
True.
Right?
Yeah.
That's why I made the point. Like I had it happen once when I was driving through the city from one dealership to another, and it was a really busy traffic day. And because I'm shoulder checking so regularly to make sure, like when I'm merging, that I'm safe, the system thought I was taking my eyes off the road.
Yep.
So it turned my fucking radio off. Because it was like, you're too distracted.
I've had it worse than that. I had that new Toyota electric car pulled the steering wheel out of my hands and tried to put me into the wall.
Yeah, wow. So.
And this girl I was talking to this morning, she said that she's had the steering wheel ripped out of her hands as well. She tried to take an exit that she wasn't supposed to take.
Yeah.
So, be careful. I'd love to just see like a whole bunch of people just buy 2018, 2019 cars and just fuck these new cars off.
Yeah.
Because like this thing as well, this thing's a hybrid. The hybrid implementation sucked. I'm actually a fan of hybrids. I like hybrid cars.
Yeah, I like hybrids
think
too.
It's a great technology.
Yeah.
Toyota's really the benchmark for it. They've been doing it for longer. they didn't pander to Dieselgate the diesel scam when that came out. They said, no, we're going to lock in. They didn't really do EV. They've only got one EV car and they hate it. They really dig deep with hybrid. But this car returns like 7.1 litres per 100. Like, your car probably does that. And this is the latest technology.
I reckon my car does less than that. And it's a 14 Ranger done 280.
Yeah. CVT gearbox, which is the worst. Boxer engine, which is the worst when it's not turboed.
Yeah, they're very heavy too. Is the problem.
And it's just, dude, it's just. Oh, and the screen in front of you has so much information on it, all compressed into like a. It just.
And you're not allowed to look at it.
And you're not allowed to look at it. It's so crazy.
Yeah. Anyway, just to like put a full stop on it, if you're trying to put this into a societal context. The safest place that you can possibly be in society where nothing can hurt you is solitary confinement in prison. It doesn't mean it's the best choice.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go to Queensland, because there's some big stuff happening. I want to start with the law that the Queensland Parliament passed today. It is Daniel's law. So if we can read through this, let me get rid of this, sorry.
Do you want in short the whole thing?
Yeah, so let's go to the in short. I'll go to the whole thing, so let's just leave it there. So this is Daniel's law, so it is obviously in honour of Daniel Morcombe. So a public child sex offender register will be established in Queensland under new laws named in honour of Daniel Morcombe, which passed state parliament today. Under Daniel's law, a new register will be created to enable 3 tiers of information to be disclosed to the public. The photos and personal details of reportable offenders who fail to comply with their obligations or hide from police will be listed on a newly established government website. Queensland residents will be able to apply to view images of sex offenders in their local area, while parents and carers will be able to apply to the police to find out if an adult having unsupervised contact with their child is a reportable offender. Sunshine Coast teenager Daniel Morcombe was abducted and murdered by a twice convicted pedophile back in 2003. We don't have to read more through that because we've got lots and lots to get through. But the key point is this. This is a step towards sanity. Because one of the things which... Look, I'm a parent, but even before I had my own kids, one of the things that frustrated me to no end about the law in this country is that we seem to protect child sex offenders more than we protect any other criminal in this country. And there's always been this thing of, because we know these crimes are particularly heinous, if you release these people's identities, they might get vigilanted in the street. And that's always been the justification. We don't want people going and taking things into their own hands. It is the most heinous thing that you can do.
Yeah.
Is abduct and molest children.
Yeah.
Bravo to the Crisafulli government. This is something that should be long overdue. And guess what? If you're someone who's like, I don't think this is a good idea, because, these poor people might be outed online. Too bad. If you've done... this to me is probably one of the biggest... what's it called? It's one of the biggest reasons not to do it in the first place. If I was a child sex offender, I would have felt relatively safe to do these crimes, because you just look at the way that they're reported. You never know who these people are. So, you do the crime, you might go and do your time. They even sort of look after you in prison too by not telling any of the inmates what you're in for, because they're worried about justice from the other inmates. They literally protect these people more than they protect kids. So bravo to the Crisafulli government for bringing this new law in. I think it is an amazing step in the right direction towards having a safer society for your children to live in. Do you have any thoughts on this, Alex?
No, I mean, if you would have asked me, I would have thought there would have been one already.
Yeah.
There's not jokes, but anecdotally, there's, you'd make jokes to people about being on a sex offender registration.
Yep.
And I think if you asked a lot of people, they probably would have assumed the same thing.
Yeah.
The fact that there wasn't one before.
So there are.
And I like the fact that you have to apply. It's not it's not Facebook for pedos.
Yeah.
It's like hey, I've got a vested interest in this information being available.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing.
And the thing is too, you've got to think of it through the lens of not even just for parents. Let's say that you run a childcare centre and you get an application from someone who comes from interstate, for example, and this has always been one of the biggest problems with these sex offenders who do work at like childcare centres, is every individual state has different registries for like working with children. So you might have committed an offence down in Victoria, and then you move to Queensland and they do like a police check, and maybe it doesn't flag on a police check because you just got fired at the centre from down there, but you can still get a working with children's card and then get a job up here. Like, it's another check and balance for these centres who hire people and put them in unsupervised contact with children to be able to just double check to make sure they're getting the right people. And like, I had an example of, and I'm not going to say when it was, but a little while ago, there was a man who was working at my kid's childcare centre, and I got a really bad feeling about this person. And as a man, most men listening to this will know what I'm talking about. It's the simple things that you pick up on, like the fact that when I walked into that centre, he wouldn't even look me in the eye. He wouldn't say hello. Like, that sort of stuff makes me very uneasy to leave my children. Now, no unsupervised contact at that centre. It's a very open plan. There's teachers everywhere, so slightly less concerned about it. But the thing that probably concerned me the most was he was gone after a month.
Yeah.
Now, for me as a parent, if I felt uneasy, I could now apply to the government to check whether or not that person is on the offenders registry. And if they aren't, great. I'd probably feel a lot better about it, right? But it's just something that it just should, like you said, it should have been in place already. Like, it's a simple thing to go, hey, if you're trying to keep your kids safe, yes, these people, like, I believe that everyone is able to be, not rehabilitated, but if you do the crime, you do your time. You have to be able to let these people move on and reintegrate into society. But at the same time, we know, the statistics say, the majority of these child sex offenders reoffend. So give parents a tool to use to at least keep your kids safe. So, bravo to the Crisafulli government. On to the next thing. There's been a big story over the last week about the Queensland government banning puberty blockers for children. Now, this sort of took a bit of a turn at the back end of this week. So this story here from ABC News. Health Minister reinstates ban on puberty blockers hours after Supreme Court overturned the freeze. Now, this has been marketed by people online, particularly lefties, in a very certain way, which is why you have to actually drill down to the details, because this reminds me very much so of COVID court cases. So Queensland Health Minister Tim Nicholls has issued a new directive to ban public doctors from prescribing puberty blockers to adolescents with gender dysphoria. It came just 6 hours after a judge ruled the previous freeze was unlawful. On Tuesday, Supreme Court Justice Peter Callaghan set aside Queensland's controversial pause on the practice, which was issued in January by Queensland Health Director General David Rosengren. In a 14-page judgment, he accepted arguments that Dr. Rosengren's health service directive was unlawful because it was made without adequate consultation and at the direction of Mr. Nicholls. But he left the door open for Mr. Nicholls to introduce his own directive to the state's hospital and health services. In quotes, "The power to issue a direction to the services is not exclusive to the chief," as in Dr. Rosengren, Justice Callaghan wrote. "The minister may give a service a direction if he is satisfied it is necessary to do so in the public interest. However, if the minister gives a direction, it must be in writing and published in a way that allows it to be accessed by members of the public." Justice Callaghan said his decision to set aside Dr. Rosengren's directive was made on legal requirements rather than on health issues. Now, this is what reminds me of COVID, right? All of these COVID cases, like the challenges to the vaccine mandates and everything, especially early on, they were all thrown out. And the media talked about how the judges threw out all of these cases. But not one of those cases was judged on the merits of the actual health advice. It was all procedural stuff, right? In quotes, "These proceedings do not involve any review of the directive's merits," he wrote. About 6 hours after Justice Callaghan handed down his ruling at about 11:30 a.m, Mr. Nicholls issued his own written directive to pause puberty blockers for new public patients with gender dysphoria under the age of 18. So it's very key to say this, guys. He has not banned it for people who are already undergoing treatment. It's for new public patients under the age of 18. So if you're over 18, go for your life. If you're already on it, he hasn't taken it away from you. It is just to stop new kids from being put on this shit. In quotes, "I'm satisfied it is necessary in the public interest that I give this written directive to the hospital and health services with immediate effect," Mr. Nicholls wrote. This direction operates on and from the 28th of October 2025. So short-lived celebrations. Trans rights supporters were jubilant after Justice Callahan's ruling, but their celebrations were short-lived. Now I want you to just pause on the picture. I don't mean to sound like a bigot, but the crowd that was in support of this thing at the time is not a team that I'd barrack for.
Yeah, I agree.
Right?
I agree.
Continuing on. Mr. Nichols told State Parliament on Tuesday night he had issued a ministerial direction that would essentially reinstate the previous pause on treatment. In quotes, the Supreme Court was concerned with the circumstances of the making of the directive, not whether a pause on Stage 1 treatment or Stage 2 treatment was appropriate, he said. I've now had an opportunity to consider this further and consider the steps available to the government given that we were prepared for an adverse finding. The ministerial direction implements the restriction on the provision of Stage 1 treatment and Stage 2 treatment to children and adolescents under 18 years of age with gender dysphoria. Stage 1 and Stage 2 treatment relate to the provision of puberty blockers and gender-affirming hormones. The direction, which was issued to all hospital and health services in Queensland, will have immediate effect. Now, it just goes on to talk about how the people...
I have a question.
Go for it.
Who is fighting for the introduction of hormone blockers in that regard?
So this is the irony about this entire court case. The case was brought against the government by the mother of a trans-identifying child who is already undergoing treatment, therefore would not be actually covered under this law. So it's just a strange... oh look, I get it from the perspective of, you and I, we literally do this show where we talk about things that may not necessarily affect us, but affect other people that we think are wrong. So from that perspective, I sort of get it, but this mother is, her child is still able to receive the treatment. It's just blocking...
But no, it's not my question. So hold on, was she trying to block blockers?
No, so the Queensland government banned it. She was the one who challenged the ban in court to make it available for everyone.
Okay. And how was it available before the ban?
It was because the government allowed it before the ban, the previous government. So, which I think is a very interesting point that you bring up. Because one of the big marketing things that you see from Labor MPs all the time, all over social media, is how the government shouldn't dictate health policy. But their previous government dictated this health policy. That's where it came from in the first place.
So the American version of this, I had a friend over, we had a couple of beers, and she's in the health industry, and she was talking about how RFK just keeps getting stuff wrong. And I said, who was the HHS secretary before RFK Jr.? She's like, I don't know. Who was it under Biden?
It was a stunning and brave woman. Admiral Rachel Levine.
Yeah.
Can you bring up Admiral Rachel Levine? Just for the viewers' reference?
Interestingly enough, if you try to search ex-HHS, secretary, it doesn't give you this name. It gives you his name.
Yeah. So... Stunning and brave woman, Admiral Rachel Levine.
So I got in a bit of a argument with a good mate of mine. So I think he's pretty easy to please in movie sense, movies and TV shows. He tends to enjoy things a lot more than what I do.
Right.
And a lot of the reason why I don't like it is because I can see the underlying messaging that is in it, and it really aggravates me when it's a bad message. So, for example, really for the last 5 years, movies have really pushed gay families, naughty kids, no men in the home. Yeah,
it's normalising LGBTQ families.
Yeah.
It's normalising, like you said, no men being in the home, or if the men are in the home, they are either destructive or dumbasses. Yep.
Star Wars. What was the most recent Star Wars franchise? Was it Acolyte? No, it was another one.
Right.
Literally had the inverse of what the correct story should have been, and what I mean by that is two black queen lesbian parents of two twin girls.
Mm-hmm.
One twin girl was bad, was a naughty girl. One was a good girl.
Yep.
The good girl was made out to be the bad person in this. The naughty girl... Now, usually you have a redemption arc. Yep. Naughty girl becomes good, is the hero, realises the mistake of her ways.
Yeah, it's the hero's journey. That's right.
Yeah. No, that's not what happened in this. The naughty girl was promoted... the wife of the mum was trying to discipline the naughty girl. And the other wife was like, nah, you can't do that, and blah, 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 blah. And the harsh, strict lady was made out to be the bad person as well.
Right.
So to me, I could see this show unsewing the fabric of family.
Yeah, it's messaging.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then we've got the new Fantastic Four movies just come out with a nuclear family, mum's heroic story of putting everything on the line to save her baby.
Right.
Right? And the man had a proper father role, a leader role in it. The mum was still a hero in that movie. And when I spoke to him about it, my friend about it, I was like, it's not a coincidence to me that that's happened now.
Yeah.
So why is it that all the shows that were on by Disney for the last 5 years depicted families this way?
Yep.
Now that the Biden administration is gone and Trump's back in, now it's literally flipped to conservative values.
That's right.
So that's why it's not just, he goes like, oh, I just don't look at that stuff, and you're making it a bigger deal than what it is. No, I'm not.
Can we also...
that is politically motivated, foreshadowing, it's nudge units.
Can we also make the point, too, that while Disney was pushing this agenda for the last 5 years, their profitability kept decreasing because they were alienating people who loved Disney products before that. So why would you be pushing this sort of messaging as from a capitalist perspective in a profit-driven industry when it's actually alienating your customer base and affecting your profitability? There had to be some other reason to do it.
Yeah, I've heard people defending it, saying like, "Oh, what's the percentage of this LGBTQ? It's under 1% or under 0.5%."
Yeah, so why are they in 50% of content?
But yeah, so they're like, "Oh, so why do you worry about it?" Well, I'm worrying about it when 100% of the content is for the 1%.
Yeah,
and there is a huge there is an opportunity for independent movie makers or people that want to make movies like that to do that. That's fine, and that audience will serve you. But don't put 100% of your stuff to pander to 0.5% of the and be surprised at the results. Now, I wonder if any shareholders have sued over that because there's one rule on a listed stock, which is
your fiduciary responsibility to your shareholders. Yep.
Yeah. Yep. Every decision you have to make has to be for the benefit of your shareholders.
So remember that happened. So I can't remember who was running Disney at the time, but remember they brought back Bob Iger. Yeah. And when Bob Iger came back, all of a sudden the content direction started to shift. Yeah. Because they realized, well, it's not even that they realized, it's just that they probably had enough pressure put on them by shareholders to say, hey, this content is not working for the benefit of us shareholders. You have to change the content. And the concept that I think about all the time, and again, Alex and I are far more sensitive to this stuff because we literally lived in a manipulation business. We know, we study body language for a living, we study tone, we study words, words are power. Every word is a weapon and it can either be used for you or against you. And the thing that I think comes out all the time is this concept of I cannot not influence you. So I want to repeat that. I cannot not influence you. Yeah. So when your friend says to you, why do you care about it? What's the trans percentage? It's only 0.5% of the population. Why does it affect you so much? Well, it doesn't affect me because I'm not falling for it. But what I know it does affect is the next generation of young people being raised on content which is going to put ideas in their minds which are not going to benefit them down the track.
Yeah, totally.
Here's the number one thing. And I saw a post put up by a raging dyke the other day. A raging dyke. Like the butchest of the butch dykes. And she was talking about how she doesn't...
I think they're called bull dykes, aren't they?
Bull dykes, are they?
Yeah, I think so.
Any members
I think the term is bull dyke.
So any member of the bull dyke community, if you can let us know in the comments, is bull dyke the correct term?
Yeah. She'll do it in all caps.
Yeah. But she was talking about... So she's got children, and she was talking about the fact that she doesn't allow her kids to watch any of that content because... Think about it this way. Forget the T stuff for a second. Like, forget the trans. But the LGB stuff, the paraphernalia that has been put into every single piece of content that kids consume, it is all about sexual orientation.
Yeah.
Children, until they reach puberty, have no idea what sexual orientation is. It is not relevant to them at all. So when people who, from like typically the right wing, accuse things like Disney of grooming kids, you kind of are. Yeah. Because you are trying to encourage children who are non-sexual beings to explore their sexual orientation and gender identity. It is grooming kids. You're literally trying to sexualize children before they reach a mature enough age for it to be relevant to them.
No one's been able to give me a good answer about why the trans flag is flying above University of Queensland here.
Yeah, it's
when you've got all these places and the trans flag. One's a sexual ideation, the others are places, geographic places.
I've never visited Transistan. I don't know where that place is.
We saw the picture of what that looks like, and it's not nice.
But again, so just to get back to this point, again, I applaud the Crisafulli government for holding the line.
It's crazy. It's crazy if you think about it. It is absolutely crazy to think that this guy can be making such positive waves by just being, like, doing the most basic. It's like, hey, all right, I'm coming to power and I'm going to do this radical change. The sky is blue.
Yep.
All right, the grass is green.
Yeah. It sounds ridiculous, but you're exactly right.
Yeah.
And this is the thing, like, this is what I keep saying, guys. This is about the future of this country. It is about the country that we leave behind for our children to grow up in. It is about their future happiness, prosperity, mental health. Like, it is literally getting back to what governments should be doing. Trying to ensure that we protect our most valuable resource, which is our children. And you might think that we're overreacting. Well, Alex, can you bring up the article about Miss Purr, please? So this is admittedly from February of this year. So it's not the most recent article, but this is from the Daily Mail UK, reporting on a Queensland school teacher. Major update over cat teacher Miss Purr after uproar over hissing and licking in class at Brisbane's Marsden State High School. You can just scroll down to the article. Can you zoom out slightly? Here we go. A Queensland teacher who allegedly identifies as a cat and was said to have been hissing at students and licking the back of their hands has not returned to work. The bizarre classroom behaviour was reportedly witnessed and videoed by students at Marsden State High School in Brisbane. Images of the teacher wearing a black and white cat ear headband in class went viral over the weekend. Students allege the teacher asked to be referred to as Miss Purr and wore a lanyard with the word Purr on it. On Monday, the teacher failed to return to the school in Brisbane South, and education chiefs confirmed the teacher is no longer working at any Queensland school. Comments have been disabled on the school's social media accounts following widespread online criticism of the alleged behaviour. A relative of one student claimed the teacher had hissed at them after they failed to answer a question or pay attention in class. In quotes, "The teacher sits in class and licks her hands," the relative said. "It's absolutely disgusting. Something needs to be done about this." Now, I don't want to continue reading through it, but when you live in a society which promotes the acceptance of delusion, this is the shit that happens.
Look here, Meow. She's got the rainbow-coloured...
Yep.
Like, it's the sign that you have to be weird, you know? It's...
Don't be a bigot, Alex. I'm wearing a rainbow lanyard.
That's... not the craziest thing I've heard, but it's pretty up there.
But
I'm with you. It's like that. We talked about trying to anchor to reality.
Yeah.
And I even was going to pull it up when you were reading that first article talking about gender affirming care. We need to actually have a look. Like, that terminology needs to stop.
That's right. We've discussed that on the show.
We don't give... If gender affirming care was real or was effective, we'd be giving Ozempic to anorexic people.
Yeah, that's right.
Think about that for a moment.
Yeah. But it's the
same thing.
But it's such a dystopian term because it sounds great. Gender affirming care. So in my mind as a rational person, if I have a child who's gender dysphoric and they go and get healthcare, and that healthcare, and you have to keep in mind, gender affirming care is the standard of care when it comes to gender dysphoric kids. So the government says to treat this person, you must use the gender affirming care model. So in my head as a normie, when you first hear that term, you just go, oh, makes sense. Young boy thinks he's a girl, walks into a psychologist, and the psychologist affirms that they're a boy. They affirm their gender. But that's not how it works. The standard of care is to affirm the child's dysphoria. So the child walks in and says, I'm a boy, but I feel like I'm a girl. The standard of care is for a professional to say, yes, you are a girl. I'm so glad that you've come to me to discuss this important thing. Let's get you on the road down towards hormone blockers and obviously everything that comes out of that. And the point that I will make on this, one of the retorts you get from the trans community is always, trans people exist. They have a right to exist. The same thing you hear from Israel every 5 minutes when they bomb another country. Trans people have the right to exist. Okay, cool. I'm not pretending that trans people don't exist. I actually know of some people within my broader network who were trans before it was cool.
Yeah.
Right? Trans people do exist. But detransitioners also exist.
Yep.
And before you go and support gender ideology on children, you need to go and listen to interviews with detransitioners who started their transition when they were either single digits or early 10, 11, 12 years old. And now you hear their stories at 19 when they realise that they've made a horrendous mistake and have ruined their lives. And they talk about how they were literally pushed down this road by the system. And every time they tried to give themselves an off-ramp, an expert overruled them and continued pushing them in that direction. This is about protecting children. They are the most important resource a country has access to. And the thing is, the thing that I want Queenslanders to remember is if you go online and you look at any debate about this, obviously a lot of it comes down to political point scoring between the two major parties in Queensland. You've got the LNP pushing this thing through, and you've got the representatives of the Labor government or the Labor Party pushing back against it and trying to pretend that they care the most about children in this state. But think about what they're advocating for. The Labor government party is the one who ran on the last Queensland election purely based on abortion. That's all they talked about. Oh, if the Crisafulli government gets in, they'll remove your right to have an abortion. Now, as I said on the show a few weeks ago, we're a year in now. They haven't removed your right to have an abortion. So that was a lie. They knew it was a lie at the time, but it was a very good marketing tool for the Labor government to use to try to win over female voters. And it worked.
This is tangential to what you're saying, but it's not quite.
Sure.
Did you listen to Bernie Sanders on the Modern Wisdom podcast?
No, I listened to Bernie on... Who was he being interviewed by? Someone else, but no, I didn't.
Well, you don't need to listen to it.
No, it's the same
because I'll tell you what it was.
Yeah.
Billionaires are bad. Don't like billionaires. Can't have billionaires. Healthcare is a basic human right.
Yep.
Okay? But Chris pushed him on the gender ideology thing.
Interesting.
Well, they have every right to exist. We did all these great things with, feminism, where men ruled everything. And he's like, okay, but do you think you went too far now? Well, we did good stuff before.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't want to talk about. I don't want to talk about it. He really avoided it. He had no answer for it.
Yeah.
Which is worse. Than putting your hands up and saying, "Yeah, we fucked up."
They have no conviction because
That's the best way to put it. They have zero conviction. They never believed it before.
That's right.
They don't believe it now. They only did it because they thought it was going to win.
Yep.
And it didn't. And now they can't show that they didn't believe in it.
That's right. Like if you go back and you just have to go back and watch early addresses by like Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama from like the late 2000s. They would be seen as far-right extremists these days. Like, because they were talking about things like illegal migration and that sort of thing, and they were super against it. But that's the thing. You need to keep in mind, guys. I'm going to keep saying this until people actually start realizing it. Leftist politicians in this current climate, and realistically, I think it's always been like this, but leftist politicians will say anything they think will get votes. They'll say anything. They stand for nothing.
Yeah.
But they only say these things because they think that they are popular, and they actually keep pushing and pushing and pushing. And we know from human psychology that the more often you hear something, the more time, like, your brain will actually start to shortcut and think that it's real. So if you just keep talking about it, like the example is always safe and effective from COVID. They kept saying safe and effective, safe and effective, safe and effective. And that neuro-linguistic programming went into all of these people who believed in them, took the vaccine, still got COVID, and then still kept saying safe and effective to all their friends and family and getting like follow-up shots, even though it clearly doesn't work. It was very rational, but the marketing works. And so this is the thing about, like, I've often said, well, not me, but I'm sure that I've heard this from elsewhere, the left always ends up eating itself.
Yeah.
And I think, did we play that Muslim cleric video from a few weeks ago?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, so just as a reminder, so he was talking about how essentially like radical Islam wants to take over the world. It's like a religious fervor where essentially they want the entire world to be Muslim. Fair enough. Like, everyone's got their own team, everyone's got their own beliefs. You want to be surrounded by people who believe the same things that you do. So I'm not going to hold that against them. But what he was talking about was very interesting, because he said, if you are a Muslim and you go to a Western country, you will always vote for the leftist. Because the leftist, like, it all comes down to demographics at the end of the day. So like a leftist, I can't remember the congresswoman's name from America, but there is a Muslim congresswoman who is a Democrat, who is always pushing things like abortion laws and those sorts of stuff, and like, you know, women should have the right to abortions and blah, 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 blah. And he was saying, he goes, the leftists will always push for things like abortion, and the Westerners will agree with it, and they will vote for it, and they will say, yes, I want to have abortions. But do you think that Muslim woman is going to abort a Muslim child? Absolutely not. She would never do that in a million years, because it goes against her beliefs. And then over time, demographics equals destiny. So when one demographic is having kids, and the other demographic is aborting or mutilating children through the trans ideology, what do you think's going to happen over time? You'll wake up and Australia will be a Muslim country. Because one demographic is procreating and one demographic is not. But this is why what the Crisafulli government is doing is so important, because it's, to me, it's just as important as Florida was during the pandemic. Right? Think back to COVID. There was two main states that were the talking points all the time. It was California, because they were the most restricted, run by Democrats, and there was the wild, wild west of Florida, which was basically business as usual. And look what happened. They had better outcomes as far as COVID deaths go. They had far better outcomes when it comes to the economy. Like, business people were moving there in droves. It actually, like, it took a really bad event. COVID was terrible, but it literally took those lemons and turned them into lemonade. That's what Florida did. By doing common sense, rational, evidence-based things.
It's kind of what we spoke about last week too. It's just the further you move away from nature, like the harder the flickback's going to be, you know. And these left-wing political parties, like, they're going to get smashed. Like, I don't know what happens with Labor in the next election. Because I'm not sure, and look, I might be in a little bit of an echo chamber in that, obviously I'm looking at data and stuff.
Yeah. Weirdo.
And the people that voted for Labor, they're not looking at the data.
Can you just make sure you speak towards your mic? It's getting a little bit quiet, that's all.
They don't look at it. So, but you can't think that the things we are doing are good. Like Labor in Queensland got trounced.
Yeah.
In the state election.
Yep.
I think it was a good thing that Labor got a second term because, the inflation figure just came in. The inflation
As in the federal government, yep.
Federal government, yeah. Yep. Inflation just was up. Oh, it was higher than expected.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think all of us expected. We've spoken about it on the show.
That's
Nothing.
Right.
There's not one policy that's going to fix anything. Therefore, so why would you be surprised that that's not fixed?
Yep.
So, now, I don't think Liberal's the answer.
Not federally, no.
Not federally. What's happening with One Nation? Is Pauline Hanson taking her name off?
Yeah, they're undergoing a rebrand. They're taking it, so the actual party name is Pauline Hanson's One Nation. They're taking her name off it and just calling it One Nation.
Cool, that's a good
I think
move.
they're having a crack. They're actually having a crack.
Is Barnaby Joyce joining?
I don't know. I would say there's a chance that he'll end up there, but it's not so much for him supporting One Nation. It's more so him going against the Nationals because the Nationals have gotten behind net zero. So he fundamentally disagrees with them on that. So he's kind of doesn't really have a choice.
So the conservative side of Australian federal politics needs to get their shit together, and they don't right now. When's our next election? 2 years?
2 years, yeah.
2 years. So they've got time. It's maybe, I had said, and I can't remember if I said on the show, but I know I said it at work, where the best thing that could ever happen to Australia is a 2-term Labor government.
Yeah.
Because you can't say it was, carry over from the previous regime. You can't say that once you've done it twice, right? You've been in there twice. And through every important measurable metric, we're going backwards.
Yep.
And we will continue to go backwards, as we keep on saying here. There's not one policy that's moving the needle forwards. Mm-hmm. So backwards is the only way to go.
Yep.
I think we did cover it last week, the $1.4 trillion of our superannuation money that's going to move over to the US. That was designed originally to help businesses here in Australia.
Yeah.
But we're not going to capitalise on that.
Look, on that note,
now they're talking. Chalmers is now talking about using that slush fund to push through projects that the public sector don't want to pick up.
Yeah, because Labor thinks that your superannuation belongs to them and can be used as their personal private slush fund to finance the things that they can't get private finance for. I put a post up on socials this week about Australian 10-year bond yields. Did you see that one?
Yeah.
So just for people who don't know how it works, one of the ways that governments print money is they sell government bonds to the private sector or other countries. And government bonds have always been seen as an extremely safe investment, like a safe harbour. So the yield on those bonds is usually extremely low because you're going to get your money back regardless.
It's guaranteed money.
That's right. We're having to sell these bonds at like 4 and 4.5% now. And that's because the private sector in other countries are looking at Australia as such a risky investment. The only countries that are even close to us in those bond yields is the UK, which is obviously going as terribly as we are, but also Greece as well. Don't forget, it wasn't that long ago that the euro was literally created because Greece flopped.
Yeah, the country went bankrupt. Greece and Portugal out.
That's right. So now we are seen as risky as Greece is to invest in.
Yeah.
So that doesn't bode well because obviously... So, you mentioned the RBA before. There was talk all year that we were going to get more rate cuts by the end of the year. Well, now that these inflation figures have come out and shown that inflation's starting to go back up again, the RBA has basically said don't expect a rate cut at all, and they might even be talking about putting rates back up again. Because the reality is, the government hasn't stopped spending. They just keep spending more money.
I had this conversation with my hedge fund guy this morning. There are only two ways this goes forward on the current trajectory.
Yep.
You either up rates on mortgage holders.
Yep.
And like you've said before, like why do the Australian mortgage holders have to bear the brunt of poor political and governance?
Mm-hmm.
Or we just inflate the price of everything forever.
Yeah, which is what
those are the only two choices. Well, we might up rates. I think you might even get both.
Well, I think that the government chose the inflation option early on, which is why they pushed the mass immigration policy. That's what the immigrants are here for, to inflate away their problems.
Yeah.
But makes it our problem.
And when I say those are the only two options, there is a third option, which is what Trump's doing, which is like, hey, let's become super productive. Let's do deals and force businesses to set up here in America.
Yep.
And if you're not going to set up here, that's fine, but you're going to pay me a tariff on the way in.
That's right.
For doing so. How about we remove taxation? We'll remove the disincentive for people to work hard. So he's lowered the tax rate. He's removed tax on tips. We could do that here too.
Absolutely.
We could get rid of some red tape. We could allow businesses to thrive here. But you also can't do that when you're only hiring new bureaucrats, and bureaucrats be bureaucrating.
Yeah.
What are they going to do? They only create hurdles. It's their job to create hurdles.
Yeah, it's just like what you were saying before. Like, these politicians, they have no conviction. They believe in nothing. But they also believe that we are so stupid as a populace that we will just keep believing the bullshit that they feed to us.
Yep.
So how many times have we spoken about the concept of when the government identifies a problem, they then propose a solution, and when they impose that solution and the solution doesn't work, the next response is, let's do more of that solution instead of changing course. Now, this is why Queensland's so important, because Queensland has changed course. We need to allow them to stay the course and show the other states that this is the way to do it. Now, because we have to go to one more story and then I need to wrap this up, so I'm going to go and pick Nate up, but can you bring up that last story about Victoria? Because Victoria is doing the opposite of what Queensland is doing. And also going against democracy. So here's a quick post here from Australians versus the Agenda. Breaking. The statewide Treaty Bill 2025 has passed the Victorian Parliament, establishing an Aboriginal-led representative body called Gelung Wall. The bill appropriates taxpayer funds from the state's consolidated fund to finance its operations, starting at $3 million in 2025-26, rising to over $72 million by 2028-29, with a 4-year total of $206.8 million and automatic 2.5% annual increases thereafter. Gelung Wall will hold and manage these funds in its own accounts and is not required to return unspent money to the state treasury. The Victorian Liberal Party has vowed to repeal the treaty within 100 days of being elected and replace it with an advisory body under their First Nations Victoria plan. This is insanity. That government is the most broke of any state government in the country. We just had the Voice referendum and Victorians voted no against the Voice as well. The government has just gone around them, created this body all by themselves, which is against the will of their own people, and they're appropriating $200 million from a state that's already broke. These are the things you've got to remember, guys. The population of Victoria is only 5 million people. That's $200 million over a 4-year period for a state of only 5 million people.
Yeah.
Where is the money coming from?
They'll just print it. They'll just buy it.
They'll just print the money.
Put it on the drip, raise taxes.
So
I'd be very nervous if I was buying property in Victoria. I think I've said it on this thing before. If you can weather the storm, I think there's a deal there to be had, because there's no way that this can keep going the way that it's going. But be prepared to receive strange bills in the mail and new taxes, and upping of land taxes and upping of levies and introductions of new taxes. And, I wouldn't be surprised. But stuff like that makes me really think you don't hate the government enough.
That's right. Absolutely. And again, we know that this money is not going to go to bettering First Nations people.
Of course not.
We know it's going to be pilfered by businesses that these Labor bureaucrats set up on the side, all designed to steal this money. And like they've literally written into the law that any unspent money doesn't need to be returned to the taxpayer. Like, it's obvious corruption in plain sight. But
they wrote it down.
Yeah.
They wrote the steal down.
That's right. But this is why it is so important for us Queenslanders to get behind the Crisafulli government, keep them in power, keep them accountable for their promises too. Like, one good year does not a good government make. But if they continue down this trajectory, also, I can tell you right now, here's a prediction for you. All the wealthy people are going to move their businesses from Victoria up to Queensland. That's a pretty simple thing to see. It'll be just like what the Californians did when everyone moved to Texas or Florida during COVID. Because all of those extra business and land taxes that the Victorian government brought in, there will be a point where all these the wealthy people will say, fuck this shit, I'm out. And they'll leave.
I'm not getting my value out of this, yeah.
That's right. And they'll bring that wealth to Queensland, and Queenslanders will benefit from it. And that is the benefit of correct governance mixed with entrepreneurial spirit by good business people who build strong businesses that allow all of us to have work and grow and prosper together as a state.
And on that note,
thank you very much for joining us, guys. We will see y'all next week.